Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video on Raid Shadow Legends. Today is the release of patch 1.10 and the release of the new faction of Dwarves, which is I think the main portion of this patch, even though there are some other more exciting things that actually happened. I got the patch notes up right here from their official forums, and I won't be reading everything on like all the flourish of what they say from the patch notes, and I can link this in the description. But basically, we'll go over the key points. We got a new faction, Dwarves. We got two new buffs, which are not in the game yet, and they will become new champions later. Veil and Perfect Veil. More or less, Veil hides you from being targeted from enemy champions. Damage inflicted by the skill that... Okay. And the normal version, Veil, will be immediately lifted if the champion that has the Veil on deals damage, with the exception of the damage inflicted by the skill that applies the Veil. Passive damage, I assume this is possibly poison that was applied by that champion. I'm not sure what it means by passive damage from that champion. Or damage that does not count as a hit, which, as far as I know, is only Giant Slayer and War Master. They made that change in another patch. Previously, it was much easier to do Fire Knight with those skills because they counted as extra hits. But basically, Veil means you can't be targeted by enemies, and Veil will be taken off your champion if they do damage. Perfect Veil means that they can still do damage and remain targetable for as long as the buff remains, I guess. There's a new clan boss difficulty. It didn't actually happen this morning because the clan boss reset and then they released the patch, so they wanted to just leave the clan boss alone for today. But tomorrow morning, you should be able to see a new Ultra Nightmare version of the clan boss, and it says that they have rebalanced all of the clan boss chests to accommodate for the change. So as far as I know, that means that the reward chest that we currently have got worse, because now there's a new difficulty that probably has the same rewards as the ultimate chest has now. Either that or the ultimate chest still has the ultimate chest stuff, and they just relocated what difficulty provides what chests. We'll see that tomorrow for sure. The next point is new tournaments, and this doesn't say anything about the new tournaments, but if you go back into the games notice, scroll down a bit, where is it? New tournaments. We will be getting a Fire Knight tournament, Dragon tournament, and Spider tournament, which are just like the Ice Golem tournaments, which is just get artifacts and get the best ones you can get. And it says they might start at any moment. Currently, we have the tournament ending very soon, and a new Arena Assault event happening tomorrow morning. Don't know how long this one will last for. Usually 3 days, could be. I've seen 5 days or 4 or 5 days are also kind of not weird lately, I guess. But possibly after that Arena Assault event, we might be getting a new tournament, which it seems like they're doing a lot more tournaments lately. It might alternate event, tournament, event, tournament. We'll just have to see. One other thing I don't have where I've seen it, but actually, no, it comes up in these patch notes later, so we'll go over that. Once again, I'm gonna link the website in the description, and you can look at the champion balances for yourself, because there's quite a lot of them, and we don't really have, or I mean, we don't. It might not pertain to you if you don't have Astrolith, so you might not care what was actually changed on her. One thing that appears to be a bug is one of the buffs for Tomb Lord. Let's see, it's this Blight. It used to reset the turn meter of all enemies that had 50%, less than 50% of their HP, and would place with an 80% chance of a decrease attack debuff on all the enemies and a 60% decrease defense buff for all the enemies for 2 turns. Now, it does all that stuff, including gets an extra turn if the enemy's turn meter is reset by this skill. This, it appears to be broken. I believe it's a bug. If it's not a bug, then it is definitely overpowered. But currently, it says gets an extra turn if the enemy's turn meter is reset by this skill. Well, this attack attacks all the enemies. If, say, you're in Spider and there's a bunch of Spiderlings and you reset the turn meter of all of the Spiderlings, I don't know if there's actually a cap or not, but I've heard people getting 6 extra turns where Tomb Lord just attacks, then attacks, then attacks over and over and over and over again. And specifically, I think it was, I don't know what the cooldown is currently, but there was a case where the guy said, I think he got 6 extra turns, and then this was on cooldown and he can do it again. Extremely overpowered right now. Basically, you can just keep going and going and going with Tomb Lord. So if you have one, take advantage of it while you can. I imagine they won't keep that for very long. But there's a couple other buffs and very small amount of nerfs. One is Baron. His bonus damage per buff on this champion has been significantly decreased, apparently. I don't exactly know how good he was before, but he was one of the only champions to get a nerf. The only other one was Steel Bowyer, which everyone knew was coming, and according to all accounts, it is an extremely bad nerf, making Steel Bowyer just fodder for your vault. Used to attack 3 times, now attacks only once. Still based on enemies' max HP, and it says the damage was increased to maintain a similar damage output. But according to all accounts, it's nowhere near similar to the previous damage output. And the cooldown was increased to 7 turns from what I'm not entirely sure because I never really used her before. Now the miscellaneous updates are kind of where some of the interesting updates happened. The Void Shard summoning chances have been adjusted and brought up to match Ancient Shards, so now they share the exact same rates as Ancient Shards, which everybody had been commenting on that this was slightly lower, and Voids are, in a general sense, slightly better than Ancient, so it was fine, but still people were upset that Voids are harder to get and they have a worse percent chance of getting an Epic and a Legendary. That has now been changed and are the exact same as Ancient Shards. Here we go. Minor changes to the artifact upgrade event will be implemented to streamline the process and make it more convenient. No one knows exactly what the minor changes are, but they say that the artifact upgrade event had changes, and I saw somewhere on Discord that yes, artifact upgrade events will be returning in patch 1.10, so we will be getting some version of this event back to us. An option to delete an equipped artifact has been added. The artifact is lost, but removing has no cost to silver. And you can see that here. If I go to remove, I can destroy or continue. And I'm going to stay away from that destroy button because I've heard that there is no confirmation. Once you click destroy, that piece is just gone. And someone claimed that he deleted a 5-star plus 16 artifact on accident. Probably just accidentally clicked that button. So kind of dangerous at the moment. Hopefully they'll add a "Are you sure?" screen afterwards later. But that ability is there now to destroy the artifact if you don't want to use silver to remove it. Usually that would probably be for newer players who have like 1-star, 2-star artifacts on champions and just want to get rid of them. Option to open specific keeps for 24 hours have been added. 200 gems a day for magic, spirit, and force keeps, and 300 for void keep. And if we go check that out, you'll see these guys have locks on them. If you click on them, you can open it for 24 hours with 200 gems. A little bit steep in my opinion, but I guess I like the option of having it there in case a timed event is here and I need more potions from a keep that's not open. But really, that's the only time I would ever use that is for a timed event, because you can just wait until 3 days passes for one of these guys or till Sunday for this one. Back to here. Adjusted the multi-battle champion queue to make it more convenient for the players. I'm not entirely sure what they adjusted, but we'll go over a bug that seems to be happening with that when I'm done with the list here. Artifact drops adjusted. High-rank legendary artifacts are more likely to drop from the later stages in dungeons, where rare artifact drops have been decreased, and earlier stages have their drop rate for high-rank legendary artifacts decreased. Big thing that everyone loves here. Shaman, Jizzo, High Katoon, Yaga the Insatiable, and Dark Aethel. All champions that are given us to free over a certain period of time have been removed from Sacred Shard summons. So those who get their first Sacred Shard and then summon it and it's just another Shaman won't ever happen again, assuming they actually made this fix and there's no bugs with it. But everyone is very happy about this. And then there's a couple bug fixes of bugs I'd never actually encountered, so you can read those and see if they apply to you, and hopefully they're actually good for you. Another piece of news that came out today is because of the Dwarf faction coming out between now and August 11th, there is apparently a double chance of, or an increased chance of getting dwarfs from any and all summoning shards. They're calling it double dwarf time. And I've heard a couple accounts of people still opening shards and not getting a single dwarf. Most of those were just small amounts of shards anyways, and it's not like you're guaranteed to get a dwarf, so you can't really just think that you're going to be getting all dwarves. But apparently the chances are doubled if you were saving and you want to pull for them now to try to get your increased chance of dwarves. But really, the dwarves appear to be very underwhelming, at least the legendary, unless his invisible skill multipliers are incredibly strong. This guy seems incredibly weak. Legendary, attack, force. A1 attacks one enemy, nothing else. Plus 5% damage for all of his level ups, nothing. A2 attacks one enemy, ignores 50% damage or the target's defense. 6 turn cooldown can be reduced to 5. That's it. Just ignores some defense. My Royal Guard does 100%. So they could have given him that. A3, 6 turn cooldown, attacks one enemy still, ignores shield and block damage buffs. That's fine. I imagine that has some pretty significant usage. Honestly, this could be on the A1 and make this champion amazing. But a 5 turn cooldown, if you get lucky enough to use, if you want to use legendary skill tomes and get lucky enough to get up to that point, just for a single attack that really, if you can use it once, and then by that time shield and block damage buffs are probably over with, and this A3 is useless. And then you got his passive. Increases this champion's attack by 20% each time this champion kills an enemy. Stacks up to 40%, so 2 enemy kills, and resets each round. So in arena, you get, somehow this guy gets 2 kills. You only got 2 people left, and by that point they're probably low anyways. Dungeons, it resets every round, so this will not help with say like the actual bosses, unless you can get this guy to kill both of the guys that stand next to the bosses, and then he might do a little bit of extra damage to the main boss. Campaign, you really want AoE attacks just so you can pass it fast, But if, once again, somehow you can kill 2 of the 4 people, this guy can do a little bit extra damage on the extra 2 people that might already be dead by then. Really, just super underwhelming. You got a couple other guys. This guy does heal reduction, block buffs, and increased defense, and decreased attack. Nothing crazy special about him. Increases the champion's defense by 4% each time the skill is used. That's pretty cool, in my opinion. Places a provoke and counterattack on this champion, and has a passive to decrease the damage inflicted on this champion by 50% each time the champion's attacked. So, honestly, this guy seems really tanky. So, probably one of the better champions out of all of the dwarves that were given. Now onto the rare champions. Places a shield only on this champion. Places a heal reduction. Places ally protection and the small increased defense. Not too great. Can place a stun. Can't be revived, so that's kind of nice, but once again, a super long cooldown. And increases the damage inflicted by 50% for the first hit on each enemy. There's a mastery like this. It's not quite 50%, I don't think. But I guess that's nice for one hitter. It would be nice if this... wrong guy. It would be nice if this guy had the extra turn feature like Relic Keeper or something, and had that extra 50% damage and just keep doing it. But that's actually way too strong for a rare. Another defense character can do a decreased accuracy, can steal 2 random buffs from the target, only 50% chance though, and a 75% chance of a block buff. This guy's a support character. He can do a provoke on his A1, which is nice. Another skill with a provoke on it, with increased crit rate and increased attack for all allies. He's got 2 passives. When attacked, heals all allies equal to the amount of damage taken. So that's pretty handy actually. But it does have a cooldown, so he can only do it if you max out his cooldown. You can only do it once per turn. So say you get attacked by a guy who's only a support character that barely does any damage, it's not going to do a whole lot, but then you got to wait till his next turn before he can do this again. And his last passive revives a random ally with full HP when this champion is killed. If this guy is killed first, that does nothing. Now I think I've heard that this guy's kind of good. He can do a weakening on his A1, but it's only the lesser version of the debuff. Can do an HP burn for 2 turns, and when attacked has a 30% chance of extending the duration of all debuffs on the attacker by 1 turn. So he's meant for clan boss. He can do an HP burn, and if you don't have a champion with a weekend, he does provide that. It's a small version, but if you don't have it and you're planning on putting this guy on your team, then that's extra damage. But he's a debuff extender whenever he gets attacked, which might be nice. You just, I guess, hope for that less than a third chance that he actually gets that passive off. And then we won't go over the uncommons. It's not really worth it. So that about does it for the update. But the last thing we need to go over appears to be a bug with the multi-battle. And you'll see here, these guys probably wouldn't be leveling up to 40, so I could multi-battle with just these guys and be fine normally. But say I click multi-battle and I just leave them all there, and I'm not going to let this go all the way through, but we'll see that only the leader... Oh, well, I've seen this happen. It's happened to me before, and I've seen it happen to other people, but there appears to be a bug where your fodder champions do not come with you, and it's just your leader that goes through. Like I said, I don't need to... I can waste the 8 energy or whatever, because I'm about to go to bed. But we don't need to sit through that. But there's a bug going around where all the champions that are not the leader, when you start up the encounter, they just disappear and they're not there. You can probably check Reddit out to see a couple people that are going through that. It happened to me on one of my accounts earlier today. I don't know why it didn't happen then, but just an interesting thing. I wonder if I can see what they meant by they streamlined the edit queue. I mean, it doesn't really seem to me like anything changed in the queue. So, but that's probably where the bug came from, is when they made that change, something happened in the code. But that'll be it for the video for the 1.10 update. Tomorrow we'll have a video for the new arena assault. Hopefully it's not too bad. Just by first glance of it, the rewards are not worth any big investment. Ooh, ancient shard and an epic skill tome doesn't seem to be that much worth it. Like I said, I feel like they do not do this event well, so we'll see if what they did about this event tomorrow morning. Well, I hope you have a good day. I'll see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.